good. And meanwhile, Ricky Rudd trying to
and Earnhardt spins him out.
And he takes the position back. Uh-oh, Kyle, will he retaliate? Yes, he turns him.
Hold on. To hang this time, they've been working on that.
NASCAR's greatest paybacks. Kyle Busch takes out Brad Keselowski. Here's a phrase you'll never hear. Kyle Busch ran a clean race today. NASCAR has a hidden rule among drivers. You mess someone up, you'd better expect them to pay you back. Drivers never forget. Brian Vickers takes crashes Tony Stewart at 2011 Toyota Save Mart. On lap 39 of the 2011 Toyota Save Mart 350, a multi-car accident broke out in turn 11 when Tony Stewart got into the back of Brian Vickers. The accident eliminated Vickers from contention, but he was able to return to the race several laps down after repairs were made in the garage. Vickers did not forget what Stewart did to him and patiently rode around the track before turning Stewart into the turn 11 tire barrier, with just over 20 laps remaining. The crash only served as a minor setback for Stewart, who would clinch his third and final Cup Series championship later that season. Danica Patrick takes out David Gilliland. Patrick was left fuming after being forced out of the inside line and shunted into the wall early into the race by rival David Gilliland. The 33-year-old, who is also a model, then spent the rest of the 500-lap race keeping an eye out for Gilliland before finally seizing her opportunity on lap 419. Coming up behind Gilliland's Ford Fusion, Patrick tried the same tactic, but failed to make sufficient contact to drive him into the wall, and instead spun out. Kyle Busch shoves Ron Hornaday hard into the wall. During the caution period, Kyle Busch caused an accident that involved championship contender Ron Hornaday. As is his custom, Kyle Busch overreacts when Ron loses control of his car in turn 2 and pushes him up against the wall. As a result, Busch wrecks Hornaday's car during the caution period, which results in NASCAR parking his vehicle. Busch was given a fine of $50,000, placed on probation for the remainder of the season, and was not allowed to compete in the Sprint Cup or Xfinity Series races that weekend. Kyle Busch at it again. He crashes Elliott Sadler in the Truck Series. Elliott Sadler sends Kyle Busch into the wall, which causes significant damage to his truck, resulting to his truck moving slowly. There was no caution flag. He waited on the track, and then when Elliott tries to drive by, he clipped Elliott from behind. Jeff Gordon takes out Clint Bowyer. Jeff Gordon retaliated towards Clint Bowyer for clipping him on with 7 laps to go. When he was black flagged by NASCAR, he stayed on the track instead of going into pit road and took out not just Bowyer, but Joey Logano behind him as well. The reaction from Bowyer's team was immediate. They reportedly shoved the 4-time NASCAR champion into his hauler, and Gordon's team quickly joined the fight as well. Bowyer, whose car was destroyed, sprinted to the scene but was held back from joining in the brawl by a NASCAR official. Matt Kenseth takes Logano into the wall. Kenseth getting payback on Logano is one of the greatest payback most NASCAR fans confessed to having enjoyed. Logano crashed Kenseth out of championship contention after already being secured into the next round. So later in the season, Matt got payback and Logano didn't win the championship because of it. In the NASCAR Sprint Cup race, Kenseth was already competing, despite having damage on his car as a result of earlier contact. At the 454th circuit, Logano attempted to pass Kenseth, but his competitor had other plans. A couple of weeks ago in Kansas, while Logano and Kenseth were battling for the lead with 5 laps to go, Logano spun Kenseth. Because of this, and the fact that it was a NASCAR race, Kenseth seemed to have reached the conclusion that now was the ideal time to exact his revenge on Logano by driving him into the wall, which resulted in the wave of the caution flag, to the delight of the spectators present at the track. Carl Edwards gets his revenge. Carl Edwards sends Brad Keselowski soaring at 190 miles per hour. In the previous year at Talladega, the two were involved in another wreck, with Edwards going airborne and Keselowski cruising to victory. Brad Keselowski was sent flying through the air during Sunday's Cobalt Tools 500 in Atlanta, and he blames fellow driver Carl Edwards for the incident. After earlier contact between the drivers, Carl Edwards was able to win the race by turning Brad Keselowski as they were approaching the finish line. Together with Keselowski, Edwards was placed on probation for the remainder of the Xfinity Series season, fined $25,000, and docked 60 points in the Xfinity Series point system that was in place at the time. Rudman crashes into Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch gets a taste of his own medicine. Gordon takes out Kenseth.